type of task, and it's been driving me a little batty, and I've been working on it. And so what I realized, what my quality that was hurting me for this was, because it's not about being creative, because what's more creative than making a fence or being able to build a table or something? It's being, it's ingenuity. Like, I'm the type of person that's always thinking of like a new way to do something, or like an angle, or way to cut time or fat. You know, like my brain is constantly like, well, that song sounds like that song. And if we do this, I'm pulling things from every walk of life I've ever experienced and trying to just make something. But that isn't necessarily creativity. That's ingenuity. It's like I hadn't mastered anything and I was trying to reinvent how to do stuff. So Grandpa Jack came by today and he showed me how to make fence posts, like how to do this. It's like we would get 8-foot posts and dig 2 feet deep, 24 inches, and uniform. So it'd be 6 feet out of the ground, and then we would use a like one of those things that says if something's straight or not, whatever the fucking thing's called. And we'd get it straight, and we would then hammer in supports. And we put down stakes with strings and stuff to make sure it was the same distance, and the lines were good and everything. And then we would put in quick drying concrete and water and stuff like that and just let it sit. So what I learned was there's such a skill in just not reinventing everything, of just respecting the order of things. And so I started really enjoying it, that there's such a skill in just following a linear pattern and not changing it. And then once you become like a master fence builder or something, and I was doing this like my first fence, like, and then I'd fuck it up. It's like, yeah, maybe once you're like a master craftsman, you can start like getting new tools going or like new ways. But like, that's why I'm sharing this story, because 2019 for me is going to be all about learning new skills and connecting more with the physical reality around me. You know, we're mapping out our greenhouse, our fields, our compost pile. I'm learning about composting better. I want to follow the plans and the maps of people that have done it much better than me, and not approach it like comedy or music. Like, approach it like the more to the book I can be, the better the job it'll be. And that's a muscle that I don't currently have. And then Amy was more proud of me for this fence than literally anything I've ever done in my career. And that's not an exaggeration. Amy's watched me like close shows after Vince Vaughn in front of 10,000 people, or like be like in movies playing in her parents' house, you know, where I have like a funny role. She's proud kind of, but like she literally was like, baby, I'm so proud of you. Like I could see it in her eyes, and I could tell by Walter's reaction, because Walter knows his mom so well, that she was genuinely so impressed by the fact that I made a fence. And so that's why when I say stuff like I'm not bragging about like certain career stuff that I've said, or like IQ stuff or something, because it's not an accomplishment of anything. Like, IQ simply means intellectual capacity. That's all it means. There's a bottom that is required to kind of function in society. And after that, there's a range of pros and cons for all of it. And it's not that important at all. And I think that there's some IQs that you get like high enough, you enter a world of total madness. And your life sucks a lot of times, unless you have like incredible discipline, and it's, it's not fun. That's why when people think it's like a brag, I'm like, the only reason I'm bringing it up is because it matters in the criticism of me with like breaking down what NASA is doing. But like, just understand that there's so many things to learn in this world, and like IQ or entertainment ability has no correlation. Well, IQ does it. Like, you have to have a level of IQ. Has no correlation with someone's usefulness in the world at all. like usefulness comes from the ability to listen, to respect, to understand order, to be patient, to take your time, to not rush, to not be too like, there's a humbling, there's a breaking of the ego that happens with just making a fence. And you realize that you can't jump things. You can't just get a fence. It does, like the concrete doesn't give a shit who you are or what you've done or if you have money or not. It's like, motherfucker, I drive at this speed. It's like, if you don't level me out, I will be crooked. I don't give a shit about you. And 2019 for me is all about, I can't read the super chats today. I don't have time. I'm going to hang with Amy and email me them or comment them all. Comment them on here and hopefully I'll just write back to you. I mean, I appreciate it, obviously. It's what funds this whole fucking operation. Lets me be free, man. Lets you be free. Lets you listen to a guy speak his mind without having to think about promo codes. But it's like the point I'm trying to make with the fence and what my New Year's resolution is to be better at that, because that's also really good for your mind. It's really good for not feeling overwhelmed in this world. Because there's people that are viewing the world like Neil Armstrong, that it's just black. The black is black you've ever seen. And there's other people that see it as you can see any star you want. And it's neither. It's like we don't get to decide what we see in the sky. We don't get to do that. There's physical limitations and realities of this world that I think we should all start focusing a little more on, and less, because that's one of the downsides of having an IQ is the nonstop prediction going on in your head. Like, I'm predicting a war 20 years down the line. The odds that happens, there's no way I can know that. And I've been wrong about predictions. I've been right about predictions. But that's one thing about IQ people that is absolutely a curse and a benefit if you prepare properly. But like, I can spend hours just doing predictions and calculations and looking for patterns and shit and realize I don't have a fence. And it's a maze, and it's not as valuable as people think. It's valuable in certain ways, but it's absolutely a distraction sometimes. And so I will continue to do that because it's valuable in a sense to people, and I'll keep it contained and helpful, and I won't predict things that are just, it's just my gut. But my goal is to be in this world doing things that I can see and touch and feel and that I have an absolute use for right then. Because acknowledging how little control we have or influence we have or connection to the decisions of so many of these people that control our entire lives. It's like the best way to get your power back, your control back, is to focus on the things in your world. Like build a fucking fence. Figure out a composting, like what's the best temperature for it. Be like, nigga, I make my own soil. It's like this wall thing. It can drive you a little crazy when you're like, because it's almost like you're watching a football game. You're like, well, Trump's got this and he's got this in his back pocket. And what's the left really trying to do? Is it more about like fruit picking, or is it about votes? Like, what's the point of this? Is it more about their pathology against humans? Like, oh, well, Trump could get it from the from the military. They're blocking him, but he's got an ace in his back pocket. It's like you're watching a football game and you don't have control over it. Why don't you do have control over your own fence? I'm not going to wait for them to build me a fence. I'm going to build my own fence. I'm coming, baby.